All right, so looking at formatting the spreadsheet now. Before we get into changing the cell styles, a couple things to keep in mind when you're looking at formatting your worksheet. The first thing you want to do is you want to look at the font size of the cells. What cells need to be increased? What cells may need to be decreased? And how many? The next piece, looking at the font colors. So is there certain pieces of the document where you think they should draw more attention? Is the total area where you want people to look at, or are there certain numbers within your spreadsheet that you want people to look at? Or maybe the rows and the column headings, whatever the case may be. The last thing is you want to keep things centered. So worksheet titles, subtitles, column headings. You want those to be centered. Otherwise, it just looks just a little off. So if you were to print that off, it's not going to look as professional. And again, remember, we are creating professional looking documents here, so we want to keep things as nice and as neat as possible. So looking at changing the cell styles, we want to look for the specific cells that we want to change. So for this example here, we're going to start off with two things. We're going to start off with the title and then the subtitle. The title, we're going to use something specifically called cell styles. It's right there on your home tab. And the cell styles has a very obvious feature labeled title. It's a default color scheme, and it will always change depending on the theme color that you use. If you use a different theme color, the colors are going to change as well. So again, my insertion point is selected on cell A1 because that is where my title is located. And I head over to cell styles, click on title, and there it's been modified. Okay, very basic. Okay, again, cell styles, and then you can go to titles. Now to change the font, okay, we're going to look at changing the font here for the subtitle. Now you don't need to use the title for the subtitle because the subtitle is not a title. It is a subtitle. So it should not look identical to the title. We wanted to make it a little bigger, but it should not be identical in nature. So I'm going to select cell A2 and I'm going to change my font. And if you notice here in cell A1, my default for the title is at Cambria, so I'm going to change it to Cambria as well. So I'm going to apply Cambria, and I'm going to increase the font size from 11 to 14. One more, there we go. And I'm going to bold this, make it a little bit thicker, and then I'm going to change the color. So the color here, I want this to match, which is this dark blue text 2. So I select that, and now it looks good. It's just not as big. It's 4 points smaller than the title itself. So always make sure again that your subtitles are not as big. You don't want them to match that way. Okay. So a lot of this stuff is actually pretty easy. It's just knowing where to go and where to find it and how to find it. Okay. So again, using cell styles and then changing the titles, bolding cells. Those are all very easy stuff. It's stuff that you've done in Microsoft Word. Increasing the font size, again, stuff that you know how to do. Changing the font color of a cell entry. Okay, same thing. That's all you did was modify the way that cell was colored. Very easy stuff, okay? Now, here's one that a lot of people get into trouble, is merging and centering. They don't understand where they are going to. So you have to, the first thing you have to do is you have to select the range of the cells that you want merged and centered. For this example here, we're going to go from A1 to H1. And you can see that that's the highlighted range here. A1 to H1 is the range that we want, and it will combine all of those cells together. So you have to understand that you have to select the range first. There's going to be a handful of you that are going to do this instead, and it will look like that. That is wrong, okay? Because if you notice, well, you've only got one cell selected, right? You've got to select the whole range. You've got to select the whole range. So A1 through H1, and only do one at a time. Don't try to do both because it will actually combine them. So after I have my whole range selected, I can click on Merge and Center. Okay, so I'm going to do that for both here. You want to do that for both the title and the subtitle. Merge and Center. Make sure again that you do not merge and center just one cell. You need the range of cells in order for this to look correct. And if you have questions on that or confused, you're just not sure why it's doing what it's doing, please come talk to me so we can get that straightened out, okay? Now let's look at the next piece. We want to format these columns here, okay? We're not to the point where we need to worry about the size of the columns yet. We're still in the early stages of formatting. So we want these column headings to be formatted with a heading cell style. Do not just select, okay? Do not just select the ones that have words in them, because we've still got these row headings down here. You want to select the whole thing. So we're going from A to H, A3 to H3, and we're going to apply a cell style. Make sure again, okay, and the cell style I'm going to use here is going to be heading 3. Heading 2 is a little bit too big. Heading 3 is what I want. Okay, we want that underline across. Okay, we want that thing across the whole way. So make sure to use that. And before we get too far, we talked about it early on. Make sure that it is centered. Make sure you center these headings. These column headings need to be centered. You centered the title. You centered the subtitle. Make sure to center your row headings, and that's going to be something very minute, but yet it's something that's going to be graded. So make sure that that is centered. It's a very simple task, okay? So you should be at this point, and again, if you're struggling with this, or you think it's going too fast, this is one reason why we got the videos, okay? Go back and look at it again. Go back and review it and make sure that you're getting everything taken care of. So now that we have our column headings done, we've got that taken care of. We've got the title, the subtitle, our column headings. The next piece is going to be focusing on the numbers and formatting those. But to keep things broken up a little bit, we're actually going to do that in the next video. So head on over to the next video where we'll cover formatting the numbers.